Everyone. It is January 30th, 2020, and I just wanted to do a quick rundown of the coronavirus statistics, information. Excuse the dog. This is from the World-O-Meter. They're measuring where it's at and what's going on and things like that. So, just a quick rundown of what it's looking like right now. So there are currently 8,288 cases, 171 deaths worldwide, and that is as of today. And as you can see, the spike here from January 21st to January 29th is almost straight, but it doesn't look good. Doesn't seem to be going down. And the total deaths, same thing. They just go straight up from 0 to, what do we got, 105. Now today it's 171, and that's within a week. So anyways, confirmed cases and deaths by country. It's affecting 22 countries. In China, it's at the most, which is 8,163, and oddly enough, they're still the only country having deaths. I find that to be kind of strange, but maybe that's just because they got it a couple weeks earlier than everybody else. So anyways, 171 deaths. Thailand, 14. Japan, 14 cases. Singapore, 13 cases. Hong Kong, 11 cases. Taiwan, 9. Australia, 9. Malaysia, 8. Macau, 7. The United States, 6. South Korea, 6. Oddly enough, North Korea isn't reporting any, but I have a hard time believing that. France, 6. Vietnam, 5. Germany, 4. The United Arab Emirates, 4. Canada, 3. Cambodia, 1. Nepal, 1. Finland, 1. Philippines, 1. India, 1. And Sri Lanka, 1. The transmission rate is estimated to be between 2.0 and 3.1 ROs. I don't know what that means. The fatality rate is estimated to be around 2%, 2 deaths in every 100. Let's see. The incubation period, 2 to 14 days, up to 2 weeks without symptoms. So you could be walking around spreading it for 2 weeks and you won't know it. Countries and territories affected, 22. I just read those off. Quick facts. The 2019 novel, meaning new, coronavirus, called NCOV or Wuhan Coronavirus, has spread to 22 countries and territories worldwide, with 8,288 confirmed cases and 171 deaths as of January 30th, 2020 at 10:35. Or 8:35 p.m., but okay, that must be in a different time zone. On January 30th, 2020, the novel coronavirus total case count surpassed that SARS, which affected 8,096 people, surpassed that for SARS, which affected 8,096 people worldwide. In the United States, there are 5 cases confirmed by the CDC, 1 in Arizona, 2 in California, 1 in Washington State, and 2 in Illinois. On January 30th, the CDC confirmed the first U.S. case of human-to-human transmission, and that was actually the 6th case. Okay, yeah, it does say that. I apologize, I need glasses. 6 cases in the United States. I've also been hearing that the military is buying up food supplies, trying to track where, like emergency food supply companies are and what they have to offer. So they sound like they're preparing for something, and I haven't heard any announcements myself, but I guess the White House is reassuring people that they are preparing for everything, and they've got their top people on it. So we'll see. I haven't heard anything. I would think they'd want to put in preventative measures right away and advise people on what to do and stop people from traveling in and out of the country. But hopefully they know what they're doing. I guess you got to have a little faith. Wuhan, the city where the virus originated, is the largest city in central China with a population of over 11 million people. The city on January 23rd shut down the transport links. Following Wuhan lockdown, the city of Guangdong was also placed in quarantine, and the city of Ezhou has closed its train stations. This means that 18 million people have been placed in isolation. It's a lot of people to deal with. The World Health Organization said cutting off a city as large as Wuhan is unprecedented in public health history and praised China for its incredible commitment to isolate the virus and minimize the spread to other countries. That's after they let millions of people travel out of the country and spread it all over the place. Now they're going to try and stop it. Jesus. Germany, Japan, and Vietnam have reported the first cases in patients who didn't personally visit China but contracted the virus from someone else who had visited China, Wuhan, China. These cases of human-to-human transmission are the most worrisome, according to the WHO. Now, I've been hearing that it's airborne, but yet I haven't seen anything about it being airborne in this entire article, and I would think that that would be the most worrisome. You can avoid touching people. You can't avoid breathing. So just be aware that yesterday it was considered airborne, and now they're not talking about it like that. I heard that the human-to-human transmission was a mutation on top of the airborne transmission, but I'm not an expert, so I'm just telling you what I've been hearing and reading. A pathogen's harmfulness is determined by the combination of its transmission rate, which is the RO reproductive number, and its case fatality rate. How contagious is the virus? The attack rate or transmissibility, how rapidly the disease spreads, of a virus is indicated by its reproductive number, which is the RO, pronounced R0 or R0, which represents the average number of people who will catch the disease from a single infected person. So the R0 is how many people can catch the disease from one person. So for the Wuhan virus, this parameter is estimated to be between 2 and 3.1 according to the preliminary studies, with one study providing an estimate of 2.6 with an uncertainty range of 1.5 to 3.5. The WHO noted on January 23rd that human-to-human transmission was occurring, and preliminary R0 estimates of 1.4 and 2.5. Based on these numbers, on average, every case of Wuhan coronavirus would create between 2 and 3 new cases. An outbreak with a reproductive number of below 1 will gradually disappear. For comparison, the R0 for the common flu is 1.3, and for SARS it was about 2.0. Now, I don't know. I'm trying to read you the official facts and statistics without putting any conspiracies onto it. But, I have to say that yesterday or a couple days ago, one of the nurses that put out a video said that it seems to be about an average of every 10 people are catching the virus, and for every one person that has it, that it's airborne, that it can stay in the air for up to 48 hours and live on a surface for up to 5 days. So just they don't seem to be mentioning that in this article. So I just want to make that clear that these numbers are pretty low, and considering they can't measure the amount of cases accurately because they don't have enough test kits, they're turning people away from the hospital because they can't treat any more people. So they don't even know what people are dying from, what people are getting sick from. So these numbers are just based on very loose reports. I mean, they're not really all that accurate, but let's keep it fair and stick with the official numbers. The fatality rate, case fatality ratio, or CFR is what it's called, of the Wuhan virus, the novel coronavirus case fatality rate is currently estimated around 2%. According to the WHO, on January 29, 2020, a prior estimate had put that number at 3%, between 2% and 4%. The fatality rate can change as a virus can mutate, according to epidemiologists. So I wouldn't think that the numbers should be going down. But I suppose if you don't have test kits and you're turning people away from the hospital, then I suppose that would make the numbers go down. Once the province Hubei, where the epicenter, Wuhan, is situated, is removed from the calculation, the national mortality rate drops to 0.3%. Within the Hubei province, the mortality rate is about 1% when excluding the city of Wuhan, where it is at 5.5%. Now, personally, Wuhan had a head start by at least a couple of weeks before the rest of the world. So this is where they're at, and I would think that that'd be the number that counts. So I would say that when it's in full swing, it's at 5.5%. When it's just a couple people, it's at 0.3%. So I would say I would not trust these numbers for at least a couple of weeks, and see if it breaks out anywhere else, because if it does, then I think the mortality rate is going to be closer to 5.5%. But anyways, for comparison, fatality rate. The case fatality rate with seasonal flu is less than 0.01%, around one death every 10,000 cases. And the mortality rate for SARS was 10%, and for MERS was 34%. And other experts were also saying yesterday that it was actually higher than what SARS was, and that it was at a minimum of 10% or higher. So, like I said, they're not reporting accurate numbers. So give it time before you trust these numbers. These are just what have been officially reported. The incubation period is how long it takes for the symptoms to appear, which we know it's contagious before it even appears for 10 to 14 days. And the CDC estimates the incubation period to be between 2 and 14 days. See, that's some pretty different numbers, 2 to 14 days, 7 to 14 days. But anyways, up to 14 days. This means that symptoms of the novel coronavirus may appear in as few as 2 days or as long as 14 days, during which the virus is contagious, but the patient does not display any symptoms or is asymptomatic transmission. So, anyways, that's just a light update on where the numbers are at right now. I will look to see what emergency preventative measures that the government is putting out there, and I'll try to do a quick rundown of that later today. They're saying that it's not an international health emergency yet. I think it was an international health emergency immediately. Had they treated it that way, they could have stopped it in its tracks. The WHO hasn't declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. The WHO Emergency Committee has convened 3 times on the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 30th, and has declined to make such a declaration. Every year, an estimated 290,000 to 650,000 people die in the world due to complications from seasonal influenza viruses. This figure corresponds to 795 to 1,781 deaths per day due to the seasonal flu. So yeah, and to be fair, this isn't the only virus going around. There's actually, things like Ebola, MERS, SARS, norovirus, swine flu, but the thing is these are all going around at the same time, and they're all really severe viruses. So that should make you question why that is too. But, a lot of the deaths and illnesses could be any of those things. So, I guess that's part of the reason you have to be careful about the numbers you're reporting and the actions you take. SARS in November of 2002 through July of 2003, it was a coronavirus that originated from Beijing, China, and spread to 29 countries with 8,096 people infected and 774 deaths with a fatality rate of 9.6%. Considering that SARS ended up infecting 5,237 people in mainland China, Wuhan Coronavirus surpassed SARS on January 29th, 2020, when Chinese officials confirmed 5,974 cases of the novel coronavirus 2019 and COV or C0V. One day later, on January 30th, 2020, the novel coronavirus cases surpassed even the 8,096 cases worldwide, representing the final SARS count in 2003. So it's already surpassed the number of SARS cases in 2003. And it's only been a couple of weeks. So that's kind of worrisome. They also said yesterday that they expect, if it mutates anyways, that it could go on until April or May. So that's kind of scary. MERS in 2012 killed around 858 people out of the 2,494 infected, with a fatality rate of 34.4%. That's just bad. It doesn't sound like it's getting to that. There's a lot more people infected, but definitely not nearly that many deaths. So that's interesting. Okay, so there's a quick update of where the coronavirus is at as of January 30th, 2020. Keep yourself healthy, clean, sanitized, keep everything washed thoroughly, use hand sanitizer. If vitamins are a good thing, now is definitely the time to be taking them. That is one, as I understand it, vitamin C, it helps give you antibodies to fight off these things. And so right now that's one of the things you can take that will definitely be beneficial to you to fight any infection. So I don't know, it's a flu. It's kind of a tricky thing to fight. They say also that Taiwan said they found a vaccine possibly, but it would take up to a year to study. So I'm not sure what good that does right now. And for now, see your doctor, get treated the best you can, and try to prevent yourself from getting sick. Everyone stay safe. Good luck.